Hi, guys. Geez, I don't even know where to start. First of all, thank you for allowing everybody to know this story from a perspective from a filmmaker. And, I wanted to know, like, when Pete announced that he was going to do this, what was your initial reaction to that? Did you find that it maybe, too soon, or this is really important? Yes, let's go for it.
I didn't think too soon. I just thought, surely this is not something we're going to want to be a part of. Truthfully, I mean, we hadn't done anything like it in the past. It wasn't really our nature or our style. We were relatively private after we were hurt in the Boston Marathon bombing. But when they called us, I think we were just curious, and it sounded like kind of a fun lunch meeting to be able to tell friends and family about. I mean, truthfully, we're like, we might as well hear them out, and they sounded nice on the phone. And I think when we left the meeting, I just remember we were both stunned in the car ride home by, like, wow, we're actually really intrigued, and we're pleasantly surprised by their dedication and thoughtfulness and approach, and how much they listened to us, I think was really shocking and not what I was expecting from the stereotype I had in my head of a Hollywood producer and director. And so then the wheels really started turning for us, because I think it was like, well, now what? It was, a no would have been easy, right? And to move forward, and we're not going to be a part of this, and then your name's not involved, and you're don't have to worry about how it looks or what people are going to think. But when you really start to be involved with a project like this, it was really scary, I think, for us, and we were as involved as we could be. We had a lot of ongoing medical care, so we were on set when we could be. My husband was on a lot of conference calls because we felt like this movie was going to happen. There was a lot of momentum behind it. But if we could be part of shaping the story and representing the survivor community, that felt important.
Well, of course, Mark being from Boston, this is probably the most important thing he's ever done in his whole career. Mm-hmm. So what really impressed you about Mark Wahlberg?
Well, I think the whole team had a commitment to telling the story as accurately as possible and as sensitively as possible. And I think it's clear that why all these guys teamed up with each other, because no one person can take on that responsibility. Mm-hmm. And because there are so many really personal emotions invested in all this, whether or not someone's connected to the film at all, this story is going to permeate our society, and we have to understand that that's going to affect people in very real ways. And so I think they all did what they could to make sure that they told this story accurately, and consulted with us to figure out how to do that in the most sensitive way possible.
Yeah, and I say his passion and his intensity. Whether or not stylistically we agreed on things, but his heart seemed to be in the right place. And so it felt like the story was in good hands.
Yeah, definitely. Oh, yeah, for sure. I don't think it could have gotten two better, more committed filmmakers
and
people.
Truly.
So after this whole thing, and thank God you guys are okay, and what does Boston mean to you now? What do the people mean to you? What did you learn about your fellow Bostonians?
I mean, I grew up in Cambridge, across the river from Boston, so I always had this incredible regional pride. But now it has swelled beyond what words can describe, because these are all real people to us now. We've connected with them in these incredibly intimate ways, and they've reached out to us to support us, not only in the immediate aftermath, but in the years since. And I think it shows so much about how beautiful we as people can be when we're committed to taking care of each other. And we now feel this obligation and duty to return that somehow to the community, and show them how grateful we are for all the support we've received.
And just briefly, I'd say, I grew up in Northern California, so I actually feel like an adopted Bostonian, because the acceptance and pride and the way that they continue to care and value us today is something I've never experienced before in my life. So I've actually never felt more connected to a community or a city before. And so Boston is just, it's home. And I think also it feels really small now. I felt like such an outsider before, and was figuring out you know, how to pronounce the different names and how to ride the T and all these things. And now it just feels like this very small, intimate community that we're privileged to be a part of.
Well, thank you for letting them tell the story, and like I say, thank God you're okay.